All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Big show ahead for you guys. Lots of Trump stuff to organize ahead of time here. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Donald Trump. Of course. He nearly swallowed up the whole show. Okay, later in the program, an unfortunate situation where you've got black protesters and the KKK showing up at the same place in South Carolina. How did that turn out? I'll tell you all about it. And then Black Lives Matter protesters showed up somewhere else over the weekend, and I'm going to tell you why I disagree with them. Interesting. Okay, and lots of amazing stories in the second hour. I just want to tell you about one here. Those guys who did the Planned Parenthood story, they might be in a lot of trouble because they might have broken some laws. Not a big deal. Okay, I hope it is a big deal. Before we get started, though, guard your eyes, okay? Oh, a little bling. Oh, what's this? Oh, 2015 People's Voice Award winner, News and Information Channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby. Guys, you're going to have to make some room on the shelf for another one. Sorry. Oh, don't let it catch in your eye. Okay. We started from the bottom, man. So I wear all my chains around the house. Can you imagine if I wore all the Webbies, like, all around the house? I'm obnoxious enough as it is. Okay, speaking of obnoxious, let's get started and go to Donald Trump. Okay. Over the weekend, Donald Trump talking to Frank Luntz about John McCain. Oh, my God, did he step in it. This is fascinating, man. This guy is unreal. Let's show you the video, and then we'll show you all the reactions.
John McCain goes, oh, boy, Trump makes my life difficult. He had 15,000 crazies show up, crazies. He called them all crazy. So he insulted me, and he insulted everybody in that room. And I said, somebody should run against John McCain, who has been, you know, in my opinion, not so hot. And I supported him. I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, you know, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers.
I don't like losers. Okay, all right, but you know what you're saying? Hey, that sounds like standard Donald Trump fare. You know, he's a dummy, he's a loser, he's a baby, right? I don't know. He's going to take it to another level right now.
But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured, okay? You can have, and I believe perhaps he's a war hero, but right now he said some very bad things about a lot of people.
That's amazing. Who says that? Who says that? I'm going to quote it for you here again because it's one of the more amazing things I've heard in any politics, even for Republicans. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people who weren't captured. What kind of a guy is this, man? This is a completely different entity. This is unbelievable. He went on to say perhaps he's a war hero, but right now he says some very bad things about a lot of people. Okay. John McCain, when he ejected out of his plane after it was shot down, had 2 broken arms and a broken leg. Okay. And he had 50 pounds of stuff on him because when he ejected from the plane, and he had to swim out of a lake. Okay. Then they re-broke his arms. They didn't set the arms right. He spent over 5 years in a prisoner of war camp. I like people who weren't captured. I mean, Trump is, I think obviously everybody's debating now whether he's taking this over the top. But remember, he has a long history of saying unreal things. He said about Jeb Bush, he retweeted somebody who said, oh, yeah, Bush isn't against the illegals because his wife's a Mexican. Oh. He said about Ariana Huffington back in a feud that started in 2012. He said this at the time. Ariana Huffington is unattractive both inside and outside. I fully understand why her former husband left her for a man. He made a good decision. Who says that? Who can say that? Unattractive both inside and outside. I can understand his decision. Unbelievable, right? So Now, he's going to have to apologize for McCain, right? All the conservatives in the world are coming out against Trump on this. Is he? Is he? Okay. So he tweets out afterwards, just left Family Leadership Summit in Iowa. Got a standing ovation from many wonderful people. I'll be back soon. Okay, now, come on, dude. You got to backpedal out of this one, right? Well, a little bit. He sends out a tweet saying, captured or not, all our soldiers are heroes. Oh, okay. He's going to be a regular politician. He's finally going to apologize for something, right? Wrong! Okay, next tweet. In addition to doing a lousy job in taking care of our vets, John McCain let us down by losing to Barack Obama in his run for president. You think this guy's going to back down? You think he's going to fight? No, he's not. Okay, a lot more where that came from. Then he continues. The veterans of our country have been treated like third-class citizens for many years. John McCain has failed miserably to fix the situation and make it possible for veterans to successfully manage their lives. All he does is go on television, is talk, but incapable of doing anything. A little ironic that Donald Trump would be saying that, but also true that John McCain does go and talk on television a lot. Okay, come on, you're going to let up at some point, right? Wrong! He says, I have a proven track record supporting our veterans. Veterans deserve universal access to care. VA scandal proves politicians are inept. Okay? What is this, tripling down, quadrupling down? We're not anywhere near done. Here comes more Donald Trump. The reality is that John McCain as a politician has made America less safe, sent our brave soldiers into wrong-headed foreign adventures, covered up for President Obama with the VA scandal, and has spent most of his time in the Senate pushing amnesty. He would rather protect the Iraqi border than Arizona's. He even voted for the Iran Nuclear Review Act of 2015, which allows Obama, who McCain lost to in a record defeat, to push his dangerous Iran nuclear agreement through the Senate without a supermajority of votes. Done? No, of course he's not done. A number of my competitors for the Republican nomination have no business running for president. I do not need to be lectured by any of them. Many are failed politicians or people who would be unable to succeed in the private sector. Okay, now look, that was right away, right in the beginning. Boom, 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 boom. He's frying away, right? He's like, oh, apologize. Say hello to my little friend. All right? Okay, no, but not, look, he had some time to think about it. He goes on television the next day. He's on with Martha Raddatz of ABC. Now, Donald, you can bring this thing down, right? So, can we get an apology from you? Here's what he says, quote, no, not at all. Okay, and he says, by the way, this all started, Martha, when we had thousands of people in Phoenix, Arizona, and John, who, by the way, are devastated by illegal immigration, something I'm very proud to have brought to the forefront. We had thousands of people, and he said they're all crazies. He called them crazies. And frankly, I think he owes them an apology. The fucking balls on this guy. I mean, the balls on this guy. He said, no, I'm not apologizing to McCain. McCain's going to apologize to me. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Martha Raddatz says, don't you have any regrets? All the wild and outrageous things you've said to all these people throughout the years? Nah, I wouldn't talk about regrets. No, I wouldn't do that, Martha. I wouldn't do that. It's not the appropriate time. But certainly I have said things that I could have held back, but not that often. Surprisingly, not that often. But certainly, there have been occasions. Okay. Well, all right, where are these attacks coming from? The attacks are coming from Republican candidates, some of whom are registering 1% and 0. And they're very upset that I'm leading the polls by actually a nice margin. They're extremely upset, and they were extremely when the Nevada numbers just came out, and they're through the roof too. And he went on and on talking about the Nevada numbers, the North Carolina numbers, how he's doing great about Hispanics. He's not going to win all the Mexican vote. Okay, all right. Here we go. Almost there. He says, I'm very disappointed in John McCain. Unbelievable. Because the vets are horribly treated in this country. I fight for the vets. I've done a lot for the vets. And the vets, I've been going around to the campaign trail. They treated me like third-class citizens. He's done, saying that the vets are saying that about John McCain and the politicians. He's done nothing to help the vets. And I will tell you, they are living in hell. Okay. So then McCain goes on television. And they ask him, well, you know, this all started when you said some of Trump's supporters are the crazies, and he's riling up the crazies. And then McCain apologized. He said, I thought it was a term of endearment. I meant it as a term of affection, I'll be honest with you. No, you didn't. Okay, you said they were crazies. You were right about that. They are the crazies. These are the people who think that all Mexicans coming across the border are rapists and criminals, right? And that Trump's making a lot of good points. Those people are crazy, but now you're backpedaling from that, and you're almost quasi, however you want to characterize this, apologizing. By the end of the weekend, Trump kind of got McCain to apologize, and he doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, and wouldn't back down an inch. Amazing. I've never seen anything like it. So now people think that Trump is done. He's not done. You're crazy. No. The maelstrom continues. The Trump NATO builds some strength. So at the end of the day, what are people going to think? They're going to think, oh, well, Trump doesn't back down. But wait a minute, did McCain, let down our veterans? I don't know. We're having a conversation about that. Wait, did McCain call people crazy? The Republican base? No. Lindsey Graham then came out and did a statement where he said, it's not fair to say people who got captured are losers. Trump changed the whole dynamic of the conversation. Now we're having a debate as to whether people captured in a war are losers or not. Amazing! I've never seen anything like it. So if you think he's going away, you ain't seen nothing yet, man. This guy's going to cause a lot more damage before Trump NATO goes down. Okay, he's not at the end, man. He's at the beginning. So buckle up. Okay, now let's go to that conversation a little further, okay, on the issue of whether Donald Trump is done. So Donald Trump makes these statements over the weekend about how he likes people who weren't captured in war, referring to John McCain. And so everybody thinks he's done. It's over, right? I mean, you can't recover from that. Every conservative in the world, as I'm about to show you, came out against him. People are tweeting me because Ben and I had a bet on the show here where I said he'd still be in the top 3, top 4 by mid-November. And everybody's like, oh, he's done. That's it. Pay Ben the $50. It's over. Here's my main message to you guys.
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
He's never gone, dude. He's not going anywhere. I'm going to prove my case here a little bit. First, now let's go to the attacks. Marco Rubio comes out. He's just distraught over all this. Go ahead, Marco.
I know you've heard these comments from Donald Trump. Governor Perry says these comments disqualify Trump to be commander-in-chief. Do you agree?
I do agree. This is not just an insult to John McCain, who clearly is a war hero and a great man, but it's an insult to all POWs, to all men and women who have served us in uniform, who have been captured in battle. And this somehow makes the assumption, or he's saying, that somehow if you're captured in battle, you're less worthy of honors than someone who isn't. It's not just absurd, it's offensive, it's ridiculous, and I do think it is a disqualifier as commander-in-chief.
You know what Trump said about Rubio? Loser, baby, dummy. I don't know if he actually said those things about Rubio at this particular time. He must have said them at some time. He said that about every single other person running. Anyway, so this stuff is like for Trump, like, who's that guy? That guy looks like Mexican. Uh-oh. He's not. He's Cuban American, by the way. Okay, now we go to Jeb Bush, who Trump has insulted in the past, retweeted that his wife's Mexican, so you can't really trust him. Jeb Bush writes in, enough with the slanderous attacks. Senator John McCain and all our veterans, particularly POWs, have earned our respect and admiration. Now, I'm going to pause here because, look, Marco Rubio is not a hypocrite on these issues, and some of the others are not. But Jeb Bush from the Bush family, talking about how attacks against John McCain and his service are out of bounds, right? You want to talk about out of bounds? Let's remember what the Bush family did to John McCain. John McCain had won a stunning victory against George W. Bush in the 2000 election cycle in New Hampshire. They went down to South Carolina. And in South Carolina, Rove and his team, the Bush team, put out flyers and did push polling, called Republican voters in South Carolina and asked them, would it make a difference to you if you knew that John McCain had an illegitimate black child? In fact, the flyers said, did you know that John McCain had an illegitimate Negro child? Okay. At the time, the spokesperson and the deputy campaign manager, I should say, for McCain's campaign said, man, the child thing, referring to the flyers that said that he had a Negro child, I've seen the worst form of racist sons of bitches in the world in David Duke. But this was unbelievable. Okay. By the way, John McCain's daughter is from Bangladesh. They adopted her out of the kindness of their hearts. And of course, the Bush family used that against them to attack him in South Carolina, beat him in South Carolina, and wound up winning that primary in 2000. By the way, it wasn't just the attacks on his daughter. This is also, according to Vanity Fair and almost everybody else who reported on the campaign, they say there were other whispers as well. McCain had slept with prostitutes and given his wife VD. He turned traitor in the Hanoi Hilton and was mentally unstable from his captivity, or was a Manchurian candidate brainwashed to destroy the GOP. Now, Trump didn't say that. The Bush family said that. Okay? So don't come crying to me now like you were outraged that somebody attacked John McCain. You were outraged that somebody went below the belt to attack John McCain. Now, I got 1,000 problems with John McCain. I think he's a horrible warmonger. But Republicans have a long, long history of going below the belt on John McCain and talking about his war service. And in fact, implying worse than Donald Trump did, that his time being tortured by the North Vietnamese turned him and made him into a Manchurian candidate out to destroy the party and perhaps the country. So no. Believe me, Republicans have done worse to John McCain. And this whole idea that, hey, look, we got one crazy Republican here, Donald Trump, and all the other Republicans are saying, that's not true, okay? The reality is most of the Republicans on the policy issues agree almost 100% with Donald Trump. They often talk about how they disagree with his words a little bit. Wow. No, they're all crazy, man, and they've all done this. Okay, now we go to Mitt Romney, who's very upset at Donald Trump. He says the difference between Senator John McCain and Donald Trump, Trump shot himself down. McCain and American veterans are true heroes. Oh, ha, ha, he. Mitt Romney taking a shot at Trump now. Now, that's not what I remember from a couple of years back when Mitt Romney was running for president in 2012, and here's those two blowing each other.
It's my honor, real honor, and privilege to endorse Mitt Romney. I've gotten, and by the way, this is a great couple. You look at this couple. But Mitt is tough. He's smart, he's sharp. He's not going to allow bad things to continue to happen to this country that we all love. So, Governor Romney, go out and get him. You can do it.
Being in Donald Trump's magnificent hotel and having his endorsement is a delight. I'm so honored and pleased to have his endorsement, and of course I'm looking for the endorsement of the people of Nevada. So I want to say thank you to Donald Trump for his endorsement. It means a great deal to me to have the endorsement of Mr. Trump and people across this country who care about the future of America.
You see, I play you that clip because Mitt Romney wasn't the only one seeking Trump's endorsement back in the day. They were all seeking his endorsement, his money, and whatever fans they thought he had, and the base that he riled up. These guys have been in the Donald Trump business for a long, long time. Now they're mad at him because a lot of them are running against him, and some think that he's hurting the GOP brand, right? But he was hurting the GOP brand back then. He'd already said all the birther stuff against President Obama. He'd already been brought up on the Fair Housing Act, discriminating against blacks and Latinos in housing. He'd have had all these issues before, but you never said anything back then. No. Back then you loved Donald Trump. Now that you think he's hurting you a little bit, all of a sudden, shocked and chagrined to find out Donald Trump is a racist clown and says things that are below the belt. Oh, wow, I could have never seen that coming. All right, so how's Trump going to take this for Mitt Romney? Here we go. Why would anybody listen to Mitt Romney? He lost an election that should have easily been won against Obama. By the way, so did John McCain. Okay, in other words, loser. The only one making good points is Dan Zak, a couple of funny tweets from the Washington Post. He says, Trump on Helen Keller. She's a hero because she was blind and deaf. I like people that aren't blind and deaf. Another one, Trump on Martin Luther King. He's a hero because he was assassinated. I like people that aren't assassinated. Okay. Now, none of the Republicans are that clever, so we go back to Senator Lindsey Graham, who's also running against Donald Trump. He says, if you want to be commander-in-chief, you need to understand how the military works. Being captured doesn't mean you're a loser. It means you put yourself at great risk. and you probably are young to go through hell while you're in captivity. It just shows a lack of understanding of the military, lack of respect for those who have served. You idiot. You just let him switch the whole conversation into a debate about whether John McCain is a loser or not for getting captured in Vietnam. Why did you engage in that as if it's a legitimate conversation? You guys have no earthly idea what you're doing. Trump is walking all over you guys. Now, Lindsey Graham is going to make it worse. He's going to go back and talk about immigration, and he's going to say, I can understand being frustrated about immigration, but there's no justification to slander a bunch of people that are hardworking folks. This is a line that is crossed. Now, it's a weird thing that I'm critiquing Lindsey Graham for a rare, perfectly logical and decent thing to say, a statement that he doesn't often make. So he made it there. But you're not going to win the Republican primary saying that. I don't know if you know who your voters are. Your voters are the guys that are foaming at the mouth that put Trump at number one when he called Mexicans crossing the border rapists and criminals. So when you say, oh, my God, no, they're hardworking immigrants and you shouldn't cross the line with them, you're a gunner in the – you're not running in a Democratic Party. You're not running in a logical, reasonable, empathetic party. Trump is going to walk all over you. That's why you're at 1% or less, and he's at 18%. So if you think Trump hurt himself with this, I get it. There's legitimate points to make that he hurt himself, and the fact that all these conservatives have turned against him. Okay, not just the people running against him, but other guys out of the race like Mitt Romney and some of the thought leaders, such as they are. Bill Kristol, who is supporting him now, saying, I don't know, this is too much. Yes, that's possible. And yes, it did some damage in that regard. But remember, the guys he cares ultimately about are the voters. And the Republican primary voters have never been soft. They've never been like, oh, golly gee, yeah, perhaps we are being too hard on immigrants. Perhaps Trump was too hard on his opponents. No, they love that stuff. So the more you soft pedal it and the more he comes out aggressively and triples down, I think it's to some degree to his advantage. So look, how the polls come out immediately after this is a good open question. But if you think that Trump is done for and we're done with him and then all he's going to do is slide down the polls and it's over for him, you got another thought coming to you, man. This guy ain't going nowhere. So, look, he's going to keep saying these crazy stuff, and at some point he will lose. But it's going to be a long process. If you think he's unclever about how to attract attention and Republican primary voters, you're, in the great words of George W. Bush, you're misunderestimating him. Okay? All right. Now, by the way, one last point here from Jake Tapper. Really great question on, wait a minute. Again, you guys, the Republican Party, you're all upset that a veteran was attacked? Let's consider that for a second.
I've heard from a lot of Democrats who only 11 years ago, 2004, when John Kerry was the nominee of the Democratic Party, recall, let's see if we can show those pictures, the Republican National Convention, there's somebody with a Band-Aid that is mocking John Kerry's 3 Purple Hearts, and then one of the standard bearers of the Republican Party came on CNN and said this.
With 3 Purple Hearts, I never bled that I know of. I mean, they're all superficial wounds.
Now, Bob Dole went on to later kind of walk those comments back a little, but is there a double standard here? Are Republicans, they say, there's no place in our party or our country for comments that disparage those who have served honorably? Well, unless you're a Democrat.
You don't criticize anybody's service. You know, someone that's willing to go overseas, put their lives in harm's way in order for all of us to sleep well at night, you don't disparage that. I don't care what party you're at.
Yeah, that's a Republican politician saying that now. They weren't saying that back then. They love disparaging John Kerry's war service and how many times he got wounded in Vietnam. They did for a whole campaign. They never cared back then. And all of a sudden, they grew up conscious when it comes to John McCain. All right, look, what is the bottom line, by the way? When will you know that Donald Trump actually lost? When he loses Fox News and Rush Limbaugh. And that has not happened yet. So that is an interesting question. Right now, he's lost Rupert Murdoch. Murdoch owns Fox News. He also owns New York Post and Wall Street Journal. So get a load of this drama. Murdoch tweets out, when is Donald Trump going to stop embarrassing his friends, let alone the whole country? So he's saying, wink, wink, nod, nod, I'm done with Donald Trump. New York Post hears the wink and puts this headline up today. Trump is toast after insult. Don voyage, right? Okay, Wall Street Journal gets it, and they write an editorial that's scathing of Trump. They say, if Donald Trump becomes the voice of conservatism will implode along with him. And they furthermore say all too many conservatives, including some magazine editors, have been willing to overlook his hucksterism as he's risen in the polls. Okay, you can point out the media outlets. I'll tell you the media outlet that matters most in conservative circles, Fox News Channel. And so far, it's an open case. So far, all they've done is support him. Fox and Friends loves Donald Trump. He's constantly on there. They're constantly defending him. In fact, just this morning, they were pretending that Trump had walked back those comments when he had done the exact opposite. So Sean Hannity's been kissing Trump's ass all along. Bill O'Reilly's been defending him all along. Now, Roger Ailes runs Fox News, and sometimes he disagrees with Rupert Murdoch, and so he's not going to necessarily go along with Murdoch. So if Trump loses Ailes, who they just had lunch in June, by the way, they're very good friends, then he's going to have real trouble. But for now, he has not lost Roger Ailes, and he has not lost Rush Limbaugh. So he's not anywhere near done. Put your fork away. You got a lot more Trump ahead for you. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, Donald Trump disparaged John McCain's war record in Vietnam. Oh, let me give you this poll. Sorry. Donald Trump has opened his mouth again, saying John McCain is not a war hero. Is Trump done in the race for president? So you guys get the vote. Is Trump done or not? So far, with almost 1,000 votes, about a third of you are saying yes, he's done, and 2/3 saying he's not done. Obviously, you know my opinion on this, but we look forward to getting your votes on the TYT app. Okay, now when we come back, what was Donald Trump doing while John McCain was serving in Vietnam? Ooh, wait till you get a load of this story.
That was a segment from hour one of the show.
Now for the better hour, the second hour.
Drums. You can get the whole show on tytnetwork.com. All right, back on the Young Turks, Jen and Anna with you. A ton of tweets, unsurprisingly, from the first hour. Lots, actually, about the Netroots disturbance from Black Lives Matter. Mickey D writes in, thank you to JR and Jenk for the opinions of the Netroot Town Hall. Maybe we can move forward on this issue. Okay, thank you. Michael Gibbs says, shouting burn this shit down is not only not productive, it also feeds the Fox narrative that blacks are more prone to violence. Yeah, it's just a terrible, terrible framing. Christina says Bernie Sanders marched with MLK and got arrested for protesting against segregation. Do your homework. And he would, when he was in college, he organized efforts to push segregation throughout the country. Bernie Sanders did, way before he was a politician. Okay.
Wait, he was in favor of segregation?
No, I'm sorry, integration.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Don't make me do another fucking correction.
What the hell just happened?
Sorry, Bernie. Sorry, no, he's always been on the right side.
Okay.
So Christina makes a great
Thanks
point.
God.
Thanks God, right.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I was like, damn, I got to do my research, man.
The one tweet about, don't worry about Fox News' interpretation. It's always going to be fucked up. So don't conform to their interpretation. It's not what we ever do, because they're never going to be on the right side.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. But you want to win the people in the middle, right? And it's not a great way to win people in the middle.
I'm saying both, as I kind of mentioned, which maybe wasn't long enough to say, but both sides need to understand. So if you need to calm down to get the conversation going, the other side needs to hear it. You need to listen at the same time. So if one side needs to feel the sensitivities of the people that have been oppressing, been in power the whole time, the oppressive need to hear the sensitivities of the reason why people are so pissed to say burn this shit down. Because at that point, that woman's dead. Who gives a fuck now? You know? So they need to be understanding of why there's anger and not go, you shouldn't be so angry. That woman, fuck you.
See, there's the ironic statement you could make, like, how angry would you be if you were dead? If they just killed you, you'd be pretty angry, right? That's also an act of violence. That's what they're mad about, and that does happen every day in the country.
So, I mean, understanding the frustration with shutting down people that are on your side, yes, and I agree, but also understand the frustration with shutting down people that want to change something. Because you can if you keep saying, well, keep conforming, do it my way, do what I say, do it the way I say do it. And there's later for that. I've been trying it your way. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I hear you. Then Nathan Katz writes in on the Trump and McCain fight. Donald Trump said McCain graduated last in his class, which is true, by the way. What's his obsession with college records? Where did he rank in his class?
Yeah, seriously.
So that's a great question. So Trump has asked for Obama's records, college records, and he's now ragged out McCain for his class records. And by the way, to be fair to McCain, I'm not sure. I remember it being either in the bottom 3 of his class or the very bottom, which is not really much of a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just trying to be as accurate as possible.
Right.
Okay, anyways, there's a report out today that Trump transferred from Fordham to Penn, which he did, because his daddy got him into Penn, okay? And that his grades at Penn sucked because he's a fucking idiot. And back then, Penn was not nearly as hard as it is today, okay? And but he's never released those records, right? And also, the whole bone spurs in his foot, I wish I had made this clearer in that segment as well. Smoking Gun believes it's much more likely that he got a private doctor to say he had bone spurs in his foot. If you were poor, you didn't have the ability to come in and give your private doctor's note.
Right.
Right. But rich and connected people in New York City could go in and be like, I do declare, here's my doctor's note on my medical deferment.
If you have money, you can get a private doctor to do whatever the hell you want them to do.
Of course. And you get the privilege of being able to hand that in rather than going through, the Army's or the military's actual checkup, right? So that's probably how he got out of Vietnam as well. He's such a dick. Anyway, last thing. Let's go to the Chris Lepaco. He says, congrats on your Webby. Oh, thank you for reminding everybody. Here it is. Again, I hope the shine doesn't catch you in the eye there.
How come I haven't gotten my Webby?
Oh, good question.
Like, I won a Webby, but I don't have the physical Webby.
It just arrived, so you might be getting it soon.
Okay.
And so the Chris Lepaco says, congrats on your Webby. Now give me a shirt. Wrong, but almost. I did say that if we get to 2,000 votes, that Chris would get a free T-shirt. Right now on the TYT app, should Chris Lepaco get a free T-shirt? 80% saying yes, 20% saying no. I'm among that 20%. 1,980 votes. I'm sorry, Chris, you're going to need 20 more votes. And I'm being fair. I could say 2,000 votes saying yes, but I'm not. I'm being merciful. Just 20 more votes. There could even be no votes, and you'll get the T-shirt. Okay? I'm too merciful. I'm too nice a guy. Okay, all right. God bless. Let's move forward.
Yes, let's move forward. New updates on the Planned Parenthood story indicate that the organization that put out a heavily edited video interaction with one of the executives at Planned Parenthood might have actually lied about their tax-exempt status to the IRS. Now, this is the Center for American Progress, and according to a report by Slate, it turns out that they could be charged with fraud based on the way they represented themselves in tax filings. So let me give you the details. The Center for Medical Progress appears to be nothing more than a front organization for the anti-abortion group Live Action. That is not how the IRS understood it when considering the group's application for tax-exempt status, and not how the group originally presented itself to the public in soliciting donations. So that's actually a really important part right there. They did solicit donations on their website, and they completely lied about who they were. They made it seem as though they were a biomedical firm. They were looking to help in new advancements in science. But of course, if it's just a front for Live Action, which it is, that's not what they are at all, and the people donating money to them were completely deceived. Now, the IRS granted the Center for Medical Progress tax-exempt status as a 501c3 nonprofit in 2013 under the classification code G92, which applies to biomedicine charities. They are not a biomedicine charity at all. In fact, the only thing that this organization has done since the 2 years it's existed is put together this ridiculous smear campaign against Planned Parenthood, which could lead to Planned Parenthood getting defunded because of some of the lies that they put out there. Okay,
It's perjury. It seems very clear-cut, and clearly they should be arrested. They could have criminal and civil penalties attached. They could be sued, certainly, for that misrepresentation. If you donated to them thinking they were actually doing science and they were in favor of science when they're the exact opposite, they hate science. They want to make sure that Planned Parenthood doesn't give the cells to study. And the whole thing is, oh, my God, $30 to $100 in shipping costs. Aha, you're selling it. So don't give it to science, right? And so if you gave to them thinking that they were a scientific organization, they hoodwinked you, took your money, robbed you, and used it for the exact opposite. Boy, that sounds like there should be a great lawsuit in there, right? But to me, the IRS one is even clearer. If you lied to the IRS in the forms that you filled out, that is perjury, no question about it, right? It's very clear. It says if you misrepresent what you're writing here to the IRS, it's perjury, okay? It has consequences that attach to it. Would you get arrested?
Of course.
Of course you would.
In a heartbeat.
Of course you would, right? So why shouldn't these guys get arrested?
Also, if you are any type of political action group, you're supposed to be taxed, right? You are not supposed to get any type of tax-exempt status if you have a political leaning. And in this case, they obviously have a political leaning. They're not a charity at all. And the way they represented themselves to the people that donated to them is ridiculous. So let me give you the original thing they had on their website, which they have since changed. They said that they are a nonprofit organization dedicated to informing and educating both the lay public and the scientific community about the latest advances in regenerative medicine, cell-based therapies, and related disciplines. They don't do any of that. We take a special interest in the lab-to-clinic translational dynamic and tracking its implications for academics, advocacy, private sector players, and the individual patient. The only thing they have done and the only thing they care about is putting out misinformation about Planned Parenthood so they get defunded. And the thing is, even if they are caught by the IRS, even if they get charged with fraud, even if they have to deal with perjury charges, the damage that they've done to Planned Parenthood is there. And I'm really, really concerned that even if they have to suffer the consequences, Planned Parenthood is going to have to suffer even more consequences, which in turn leads to people like me, women out there who might rely on Planned Parenthood for things like breast cancer screenings and things, not being able to access it because it's going to be defunded.
So, look, among the different ways that things get classified in politics, 501c3s, 501c4s, there's a lot of shenanigans that are at play. Karl Rove has both of those under his umbrella. He collects money, spends it on politics. On one side, he's allowed to spend it on politics. On the other side, it's tax exempt, and he's not supposed to spend most of it on politics, but he does anyway, and many groups do. They should all be investigated, and they should all be held to the same standards as anyone else. They're not, because right now, honestly, there's two different things at play. The FEC is deadlocked 3-3, right? Republicans, every investigation, they go, nope, 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 I don't care. I vote no. But it's so obvious that they're in the wrong category and they're spending money in politics when they said they wouldn't, right? It's obvious. No, I vote no. I vote no. Now, the other part of it is cowardice. So the government, whenever it becomes a political issue, like, oh my God, the Obama administration doesn't want to seem like they're discriminating against Republicans, run for the hills, right? So that allows the Republicans and the conservatives to run roughshod. They're like, C3, C4, who cares? Do whatever the hell you want. If they bother to investigate us at all, we'll scream bloody murder about how it's liberal bias, right? So now in this case, it's not the FEC. It's not going to be deadlocked. It's the IRS they lied to. So you can put aside the, look, they should investigate it, but they likely won't, the political giving, okay? I hope somebody sues them over the donations they collected under false pretenses. But the IRS one is super clear, right? And it's perjury. If any other American citizen did that to the IRS, they'd be in a world of trouble, criminal trouble. And they should be here as well. Now, do you think the IRS is going to now go after these guys who clearly lied and committed perjury? No way. Because what did the Republicans do? They laid the groundwork for this. They said the IRS is liberal and they attacked conservative groups before. Now, that was totally made up. You found out later that they went after liberal groups just the same as they did conservative groups. In fact, a little harder, right? But it doesn't matter. That lie spread all over the country. They had hearings on it. Fox News talked about it 24/7, right? So now if the IRS comes out and says, oh, this group that attacked Planned Parenthood committed perjury, right? And they need to be investigated, the conservatives will cry and rage. And likely what happens is the Democrats will back down. So knowing that, they won't even approach it. I would be shocked if the IRS brought them up on charges, which they most definitely should.
It's incredible how weak Democrats are when it comes to situations like this. And honestly, even though I don't agree with anything they do, you have to give Republicans and conservatives in general credit for how strategic they are in situations like this. They're strong, they're bold, they don't step down. They're able to frame things their way, and they do it successfully. And so this lie will continue to unravel, but no consequences will be paid for what's going on. And at the same time, the only real loser in this entire situation is Planned Parenthood, which is why it made me so angry that Cecile Richards apologized for the tone used in that video. No, you don't apologize at all in any way, shape, or form. You come forward and you say, you know what, when you're discussing something that has to do with medicine or with science or with research, you can't get all empathetic about it. You have to be frank. You have to have a frank, factual discussion about it. And that's what the woman did in the video. I know it makes people uncomfortable, but we're not doctors. We're not scientists. I know the topic of abortion is really, really difficult to discuss, but this is how it works in the medical field. An apology was so unnecessary, and it makes me angry that she did it.
Look at Donald Trump, man. You think you're going to get him to apologize? He just slapped around a guy who's was a POW for over 5 years while Trump was wearing burgundy suits and partying at the club. And what did he do afterwards? He laid his balls on the table. And he's like, okay.
I don't want to think about his balls on the table.
He's like, here they are. What are you going to do about it? You know what McCain is? Loser. That's what he said. I got a standing ovation for saying so. What are you going to do about it now?
Amazing.
And Cecile Richards, Planned Parenthood, gets decimated, and she's like, sorry about the tone. Okay, man. All right, we got to move on.
Yes.
It's depressing.
A group of hackers have hacked into AshleyMadison.com, which is the website utilized for people who are married but are looking to have an affair. In fact, their motto is, life is short, you should have an affair. So the hackers refer to themselves as the Impact Team, and they have already leaked snippets of the compromised data online and warned they would release customers' real names, profiles, nude photos, credit card details, and secret sexual fantasies unless their demands were met. Now, what are their demands? Apparently, they went after AshleyMadison.com's Canadian parent company, Life Media, and they basically told them, look, you got to shut down AshleyMadison.com and other shady websites that you guys operate, or else we're going to leak this information. Now, it's already been confirmed that the hackers have gotten their hands on this data. Ashley Madison's Canadian parent, Avid Life Media, confirmed the breach on its systems and said it had since secured its site and was working with law enforcement agencies to try to trace those behind the attack. I think it's probably a really good idea to secure your site prior to the hack, especially when it deals with very sensitive information like, I don't know, nude pictures and secret sexual fantasies. But that's just me. I don't know.
No, don't worry. I closed the barn door. Where's the horse? Oh, that left a long time ago. Okay. So, look, Adult Friend Finder just got hacked 2 months ago. If I was these sites, and if there are any sites like this out there now, I'd be investing a lot of money in making sure your security does not get breached. Okay, so they were considering doing a public offering on the London Stock Exchange for $200 million. Now, what are the demands of the Impact Team, as they're calling themselves? This is where it gets weird.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they were in this for the money and they hack into this site and they got everybody's sexual proclivities, they could stand to make a lot of money, right?
But they're not looking for money.
But they're not looking for money. So that's, okay, and they made it public. That's weird. And then it gets weirder. They went after AshleyMadison.com and established men.
Yes.
Okay.
That's like a sugar daddy website. So established men looking for a young woman that they can pretty much buy off.
But they did not go after a company called Cougar Life, or the company's Cougar Life website. Yep. Okay. So that is for women who are interested in finding young, hot men. Mm-hmm. So either either the Impact Team is led by females, or they want you to think that it's led by females. Mm-hmm. Right? So that could be a deception in that sense, right? But that is certainly a weird disparity there.
I don't really know what the incentive is to make it seem as though it's led by females. Unless there's like this crazy MRA group that's like, we fucking hate women. Let's make it seem like they're going after all these like sex sites.
I'd be surprised. But anyway.
Yeah, that's not the case.
Maybe to throw people off their scent. Because what they did is a serious crime, man. I mean, you're going to destroy hundreds of millions. They're saying you have to shut the website down, otherwise we release the information. Okay? They can't shut the websites down. This is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And then you're going to put out all those people's information. I mean, that's some serious business and some serious crime, right? So that might be your incentive to throw people off the track. But I'm not saying they are. I don't know. But it's obvious who their targets were and who their targets weren't.
Right.
So
I'm curious, let's say, just for the sake of this discussion, it is a group of moralists that think, hey, you know what, having a sugar baby or sugar daddy is immoral, cheating on your spouse is immoral. I mean, what's immoral about being a cougar who's looking for a younger man or younger boy or whatever, a younger person?
What's immoral about it?
Yeah.
What's immoral about an older guy who says, yeah, I want a sugar baby?
I don't think there's anything immoral about it at all. But the people that are behind this obviously aren't doing it for the money, because if they were doing it for the money, it would be clear already that that's what they're looking for. They're doing this because they have some sort of moral objection to it. So look, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in their minds. But regardless of what they're thinking or what they consider morally or immoral, what they did is beyond wrong. Not only is it criminal, but also the personal lives of 37 million people is none of your freaking business, okay? If you're some woman who got cheated on, I hear you, man. It hurts, it sucks, and you want to go after these dudes. But at the same time, you have to respect the privacy of other people, because what I consider worse than cheating on your spouse is violating the privacy of someone that you don't even know and leaking their personal information on the internet, which, by the way, could simply ruin their lives. It's so unnecessary. It's so disgusting. And unfortunately, with the internet and all this advanced technology, all of us who have skeletons in our closets, and all of us do, know that it's going to be revealed at some point or another, and it's disgusting.
I guess they think they're being clever. I don't find it clever at all. It's terrible, man. I mean, look, you don't know these people. So, okay, there's a sugar daddy looking for a younger girl. Do you know that he's married? You don't know that, right? Maybe he's 75 years old and he thinks like, hey, look, I got money. There's a girl who wants the money for whatever reason. And then, by the way, you'd also be saying to that woman who's participating, you don't get to make your own choices. I'm going to make those choices for you. I'm going to out you as well.
Yeah.
Okay? And so all you people that you thought were having private lives, no, I'm going to out you guys and go, ha-ha, because I think I'm more moral than you. I'm better than you. I'm holier than thou, right? And then for the people, quote-unquote, cheating on their spouses, you don't know them either. How do you know maybe they're in an open relationship?
Yeah, you don't know
maybe
the dynamics.
Okay, maybe it's a woman who's cheating on her husband, and the husband was beating her. I don't know. Do you know? You don't know, right? You're just going to out everybody, right? And even if it is the worst case scenario, some woman or some man is cheating on their husband or their wife, and they're the worst of the worst.
I mean,
that's not your business.
Not your business.
It's not your business, right? And so I don't. Again, we don't know their politics. You know, we can only guess at their gender and their motivations, right? But they sound like moralistic. You know, I don't want to say right wingers because I don't know their politics. I don't care about their politics. But like the same kind of people who've been judging people for a long time, and usually in this country and in almost all the countries, they tend to be fundamentalists, right? So whether it's Christians in this country, Muslims in other countries, right, or Orthodox Jews, etc., right, wagging their finger, how dare you, right? So this is another form of that where they say, well, not only how dare you, I don't care, man. I'm going to tell the whole world about it, and I'm going to destroy your privacy and the privacy of all the other people who are affected by that, the spouses who are affected by that,
of course.
The kids in those marriages that are affected by that. And then not only do you know about the cheating, not only do you know who it was connected to, meaning the partners, but you also know the different sexual fantasies that they have. It's gross, man. Don't do it. I mean, they haven't done it yet. They did the hack. They haven't released it yet. Don't do it. Not only will you be in a world of trouble, and they'll be highly motivated, hundreds of millions of dollars motivated to catch you. It's also the wrong thing to do. It's a terrible thing to do.
Absolutely. But, you know, we live in a country where we don't value anyone's privacy. I mean, we live in the country where revenge porn is a huge thing, where a sex scandal is definitely more interesting to Americans than any other type of political scandal where people are literally getting screwed over. the government spies on us. I mean, spying is just the way we work, right? So if it happens on a micro and macro level, why would this be any surprise? Why would anyone be deterred from doing something like this?
Don't do it, man. It's a terrible idea. I mean, that's setting off a nuclear bomb in relationships in this country. 37 million people, not just in this country, all over the world. And then they're all going to find out. I mean, it's just...
It's disastrous. But if you're single, I mean, there's about to be a bunch of new single people out there. So, hey. Hey, there's an upside to everything, Cenk.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Boy, you really found that silver lining. Okay, it was
Always
hiding.
looking at that glass half full, you know?
That's right. Well, God bless the optimists.
All right, moving on. Many are questioning Gawker's journalistic ethics after they decided to publish a story outing an executive, and of course we're not going to give the details to that story because it's unnecessary. Now, the executive that they outed did not have any type of political action in the past against gay individuals. He is not a moralist. He is not known for doing anything to push any conservative policies. But nonetheless, Gawker thought it would be important to publish the very intimate details of this individual, even though it has absolutely no relevance in anyone else's life. Now, later on, they decided to take the post down, but only after the managing partners of Gawker voted to do so. Now, the editorial staff at Gawker is actually livid about this, which we'll get to in just a second, but it does raise questions about when it is and is not acceptable to out someone's personal, private sexual life.
Yeah, it's not acceptable. And if they're a hypocrite and it's a matter of politics and they're voting against gay rights, totally different situation. Well, the rights of so many Americans are on the line here, and their hypocrisy can't be tolerated because it's not just a matter of personal opinion. It affects public policy. It affects the rights of American citizens. Can't have it. You want to out them? I get it, and I'm on your side. You want to out a private citizen because they have a famous name or they're connected to someone who's famous? Well, like, you're just getting your rocks off, right? There's no political or policy ramifications there. There's no real reason to do it. You just want to be cute. Like, haha, we got him.
It's
You
just
got him what?
gossip.
What did you got? I know. And Gawker, it says in their byline that they're about gossip, right?
Yes.
Something about today's
Gossip is tomorrow's news. That's
Right.
what they're known for.
Yeah. It feels ugly.
It's beyond ugly. So when that article was published last week, someone had sent it to me, and they suggested that we do it because it was a viral story at the time. And I remember reading the details, and as I'm reading this article, by the way, as I'm reading it, I feel dirty because I shouldn't know the private details of this person, but I'm waiting for the relevance, right? The part where it's like, okay, this person is a moralist, this person's conservative, this person's trying to trample on the rights of Americans. But no, that never came. This is just a big-name person who shouldn't have his personal information put out there. And by the way, the reason why this story was published was because there was another character in the story who was bribing him, right? Give me A, or else I will release all these details about your sex life. Gawker took it, and Gawker published it, okay?
They didn't even publish the guy's name, right?
Exactly.
The one trying to extort him.
Exactly.
Come on. And so, like, you think that's a scoop. It's not a scoop, man. You just did that extortionist bidding. That's all you did. It's like what the government does oftentimes. Here, I'll give you a leak. A leak that says exactly what I want you to say, and then you print it in your paper. Well, that was propaganda, and you did their service for them. You didn't really do any kind of journalism, and this isn't journalism. So you're just playing a role in that guy's blackmail.
So far, 2 members of the editorial staff at Gawker have decided to resign. One person is Tommy Craggs, and another person is Max Reed. Now, they disagreed with the managing partner's decision to take the post down. In fact, they released statements about it, and they're very strongly worded. The editorial staff said the following: today's unprecedented breach of the firewall in which business executives deleted an editorial post over the objections of the entire executive editorial staff demonstrated exactly why we seek greater protection. Our opinions on the post are not unanimous, but we are united in objecting to editorial decisions being made by a majority of non-editorial managers. Disagreements about editorial judgment are matters to be resolved by editorial employees. We condemn the takedown in the strongest possible terms. Well, if you condemn the takedown in the strongest possible terms, then I condemn the way you guys operate at Gawker, because that shows that you have absolutely no concern about journalistic ethics whatsoever. You should have a concern, especially when it has to do with literally destroying someone's life by outing their personal details like that.
Well, look, I think this question is a little bit tougher than it appears, this last part of it, right? Tom Boggioni, T-Bog on Roast wrote a great article arguing it's not that hard, it's not that complicated. He said, for example, Scalia makes the case, hey, on a process issue, even if the person is actually innocent and they're on death row, if we did, everything right legally, we should kill him anyway. No, don't kill him. So in this case, don't out the guy, but and you don't have a real great moral claim here. But the editorial side saying, hey, wait, business side shouldn't get to make the decisions. Okay, well, that's a point worth considering.
I absolutely get that, but in this case, the editorial staff was stupid, okay, and they didn't understand very simple, in my opinion, journalistic ethics. And unfortunately, the managing partners had to come in and do the right thing. And look, the managing partners were concerned about money, okay? They're worried about corporate interests. They're worried about advertisers. I get that, okay? So whether or not their hearts were in the right place is a question that's kind of up in the air. But ultimately, they made the right decision, and it was the decision that the editorial board should have been able to make themselves. But they're too stupid to do it.
So, well, the editorial board, of course, is going to argue, well, you think we're stupid, but we don't. We think it was the right call. And so that's like your opinion, man.
Then go work for the Inquirer or whatever. Go work for one of those tabloid magazines, okay? Don't prance around pretending like you're a journalist, because that's not journalism. Journalism is supposed to be done to hold authority accountable. It's supposed to have some sort of public social good. That article had absolutely no relevance to anyone's life whatsoever. It was just gossip.
And then they would argue, well, this is a gossip website, and then we're the editorial team for the gossip website. Okay. So now you don't agree with our editorial decisions, and you're going to make a business decision. So, but then, okay, finally, where do I come out on it? I think it is a little tougher call than T-Bog or Anna thinks it is. But it's a weird thing to say, I'm going to have my journalistic ethics in place here, and not let the business side make these decisions because I run a principled gossip website. Well, okay, that's kind of a funny statement. Mm-hmm. So, and when I do dirty gossip on someone that I shouldn't have done, well, I got the right to stick by it, right? You could make that case, but it's not one that's overly persuasive. I think this might have been a moment to say, hey, you know what? There are good people on both sides who think we should have run it and we shouldn't have run it. Management made that decision. We wish they would have consulted with us, but we get it. Instead, but you do have to give them credit. They were principled. They resigned over it.
Yep.
They resigned over it. So maybe they will go work for the Inquirer or some other website.
Yeah, bye, Felicia.
Okay. Where they'll have less interference from management if they can find such websites. And then, okay, great. Then it all sorted itself out. They left, and management gets to continue in their own way. The only person it didn't work out for is the guy that they outed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
You liked that, didn't you?
Well, if you like that, you'll love the whole show. TYTnetwork.com. Get the whole show as a member.